name's Alex. We're gonna be pivoting over to soccer here from basketball, and in my work, I created my own little original metric that I called xPC, which was kind of a play on XG and XA, which is expected goals and expected assists, if you're familiar with soccer. It's a metric that predicts the likelihood of successful pass completion using whatever factors were available to me. If you're also especially into soccer, you know that a lot of information in this sense isn't as open source as it is in baseball and basketball. So that was definitely a major like obstacle or factor that I found to like hinder my work. I was limited in some of the factors that inevitably do implicate this product, but it focuses on the receiver's situation before the ball arrives and the passer's pressure. So it's a very well-rounded. Well, the idea is a very well-rounded metric that can be applied in any sense, because passing has obviously two ends and you can apply it through a bunch of different categories. The kind of inspiration for the project was that I realized there's not like a clear like default go-to passing metric. Like I really don't feel like pass completion percentage tells the whole story at all. There's no way to quantify how impressive the pass was numerically, at least in terms of what we have available to us as soccer fans. And yeah, as I said already, it functions like XG and XA. This is just honestly like, I'm gonna just focus on the top left. The rest I just threw in, I don't know why. Basically, it's illustrating some of the factors that I use to determine this. It multiplies each of these factors to create a number that's probably going to be around 0.3 to 0.8. So that kind of functions like 30% to 80% pass likelihood. And that there's kind of a cap on that because I focused on passes that were completed. I filtered by passes that were 15 yards or more because I realized that like 3-yard passes would be kind of pointless. And so I determined the kind of basic things like pass height, pass direction, where on the field you were. Then I tried to factor in player pressure, so like how many guys are affecting the passer, and then also I factored in separately like the receiving pressure. So I used some formulas here and some resources online to kind of find a way to quantify that in a reasonable way. I also included the pass distance, which is obviously important, and found this one was kind of through like manual experimentation to figure out what felt reasonable to me, which is obviously a little bit flawed, but I would input the distance, say 25 meters into that formula, and it would come up with a decimal through that, which I would apply to the final product. And then these last two quantify the environmental factors as well as the receiver's position, like whether they're coming in to support you or they're running away and facing the opposite direction, whatever the case may be. So that's kind of that. And then here's just an example that I put together. It's a 25-meter pass from Van Dijk to Gravenberch on the ground in the middle third with the defender just 2 meters away and several defenders around. And I kind of specify what I mean by some of that in these bullets. But through this equation, which I described before, that came out to a 26% pass completion likelihood. And as I explained let me see what I say here. Yeah, I've also added some variables in my chart that I'm going to show so that we can assess this on different variables like weak foot, some other extenuating variables like that. And yeah, let me see. I think I explained in the next one. Okay. This is basically just, at first I did some manual work to test out if I like the percentages for myself. And I watched some videos and input each of these things manually just for like 8 passes to check for myself that the percentages seemed at least close. And I had some friends kind of like rank the passes on likelihood, and I was reasonably happy with the results in that sense. So I felt decent about where I was going with the formula. I put some video examples. I don't know if it's important, but you want to maybe show one or just like one of them? Yes. I think this one is.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals.
And I put a time marker on the slide. I didn't like direct you. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I saw 2:24.
Okay. little, actually, it's like 250 maybe. Yeah, right here. It's this pass from Simicast to Gakpo. And actually don't, I think I wrote down, did I write down what it was on the slide? Here, I should go back to the slide. I can just look here. Yeah, that one came to 82%. So like I thought that was fairly reasonable. The second one below that, we don't have to show, but it was 66%. And the goal was that it would illustrate that it's a little bit more challenging. So yeah, of course I couldn't do the manual thing forever. I tried to figure out a way to automate it. So I found a resource that's actually publicly available that has some reasonably detailed data specifically on Bayer Leverkusen's campaign last year. And so yeah, I accessed it through StatsBomb, which is pretty much the best data resource that we have available to us. And I pulled that into R, and I'm not an expert in R, so I this took some time using some guides to probably do some basic things, but eventually got to this kind of table that this was basically just to show that automating was worth it. I couldn't do something like this manually. Yeah, okay, yeah. Wait, I made this kind of confusing. As I said, it was only Leverkusen, so I took Verts and Frimpong as two like different types of players to see if my product was like meaningful in any capacity. And so this previous chart basically gave me like pass height, pass distance, a lot of the factors that I was including in my formula, and I just kind of reciprocated or copy and pasted that sort of data and put it into my own terms I had for my formula. And not that I only used went there and applied. So yeah, at the end here, it's basically at the end here is my xPC final product, the main metric that I'm looking for, and then I had to left that 1 or 0, which was indicating whether or not the pass was completed at all. And I subtracted expected from actual to try and get a metric that showed their performance against the expectation of the pass, if that makes sense. And I found that Frimpong overachieved by 15% and Verts overperformed by 24%, which I thought made sense based on how we think of those two players. Back over here. And I kind of put that into different terms here. And these are just some extra applications. If with Frimpong, his xPC, like before the whole actual subtraction thing was in the mid-50s, but the open source, just like the regular pass completion is in the mid-60s. So basically what that's saying is in my formula, the pass that's expected 50, his average being 50%, the average for the passes that he attempts is about 50% likelihood, but he completes at 60%. So he's overperforming by a little bit. And then Verts is 50 to 70, which is basically saying that he's overperforming to a greater extent. And those are just some extra applications. I feel like I'm at my time, so I thought I had to sign up to this, but I guess that's it. Yeah, that's all. Thank you guys.